Hello, welcome back to this week's episode of The Network, where we analyse Netflix episodes. Today I am joined with...
Amy.
Hannah.
Isanaz.
Casey.
And this week we're going to be talking about the Black Mirror episode called Nosedive. So let's get into it. Black Mirror is a TV show which premiered on British TV channel Channel 4 in 2011 and is created by Charlie Brooker. Each episode of Black Mirror is individual, designed to allow the audience to watch whatever episode they want when they want. There are 22 episodes in total across 5 series and a Netflix-exclusive interactive film, Bandersnatch, where the audience choose the storyline from making decisions for the characters' next moves. The series gained major popularity from its spookiness and odd storylines. This week on the network, we will be discussing the episode Nosedive, which sits in Season 3 of the show. Directed by Joe Wright, it follows our protagonist Lacey in a world where your status of your life is determined by your ratings. Think of it as an in real life Uber rating. If your car rating is 1 star, you won't really want to ride that Uber. It's almost a projection of a dystopian world which we may one day live in with the progression of social media and artificial intelligence. Today we're going to be speaking on the episode and speaking about the themes within the episode of Nosedive. So let's get into it.
The episode Nosedive from the series Black Mirror is an adaptation of people's obsession with social media. The episode highlights pretentiousness and false representation in today's world and displays how you can easily become trapped in social media and in this technology facade that leads to losing our own freedom.
So the Black Mirror episode, Nosedive, as we are discussing today, how do we feel about it?
It's one of my favourite episodes in the series, actually.
Yeah,
I think
same.
it's really, really interesting.
It's the most memorable one
Yeah.
to me because it's just like so realistic expression. It like, relates to like the world today, and it's just a bit depressing overall, isn't it?
It's really common in Black Mirror that they do unrealistic concepts of what could happen in the future because of technology, but that one felt really close.
That one,
It was
hit
not that
way
real,
too close
like
to home.
unrealistic.
It's scary.
I personally think it's a good depiction of how people's present obsession with social media kind of emphasizes how artificial and arrogant people today have become because of likes and shares and celebrity endorsements. I mean, influencers. That entire concept is revolved around people liking them and following them, and it's just it's a bit Barbie dollish.
I thought it was really interesting that it didn't just stop at a rating, it kind of extended into like her housing and her like quality of life was affected just by people's opinion of her.
It's like how job interviews can now check your social media history, and if they see something inappropriate or really wrong, they won't hire you at all. But it's a bit hit way too close to home because like everyone is now reliant on a good social media of like public story is so different from people's public stories on social media, because public is like good, professional, loving life. People's private is more like crazy and ambitious and weird.
I also thought it was interesting that they didn't just provide Lacey's story. We also saw like her childhood best friends and her brothers as well, which a lot of people thought was unnecessary, but I think it added a lot of
context
discourse. In the fact that he disagreed with her lifestyle, even though they've both obviously experienced the exact same thing, he kind of continued to live normally in that world.
It's a bit unfair though too. Well, the episode kind of highlights how technology has made people fake and pretentious in the desire to look perfect in photographs. Because in Lacey's like story, it's basically her getting coffee. She puts the cookie aside. She makes everything perfect for that one photo, so it gets the most likes. And she's dependent on her skills as a photographer, and basically it's your person to see if she gets likes, when it's not like that in real life.
She literally spits out the cookie from her mouth.
As soon as she's taking the picture. I do think one of the reasons why it's like one of the more memorable episodes in the show is because of the visual aesthetic of it, and how like they kind of portray the artificial aspect of it through making it Barbie-like.
It starts off so pretty and pastel and aesthetic.
I was gonna say.
Dollhouse.
It's always the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that.
It kind of does like take a lot of themes and ideas from Barbie, I think, because she basically, her and her co-workers, they look like the perfect Barbie secretary. Perfect, prim, poised, pink, dolled up, manicures. It's just unrealistic in the real world of work life. Everyone's tired, bit grumpy, doesn't really want to be there and only doing it for the money.
My favourite thing about it was just that it didn't cover just Lacey. It covered like that woman who lost her husband to cancer. It kind of helped her realize that no matter how high her star rating was or how sweet and pretty she was, like she couldn't bring her husband back from the dead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it like extended into her coworker lost his job because of a messy breakup and how he handled it. I also thought it was interesting how Lacey suffered consequences just from trying to be nice to him, and how as soon as she deviated from like the social norm and like the group, she immediately like suffered consequences.
If we did live in that dystopian world, what do you think your ratings would be?
Oh my god,
that's interesting.
Mine would be like 0. 0.
I reckon mine would be maybe like a 2.7.
I think I'd be like her brother. I'd just stay at home and have a solid 3 from like my friends who existed before the concept became real.
I don't know, I'd probably be similar to you.
Yeah.
Like you could either get really obsessed with it and you'd make changes, but it would be bad in the long run. I don't know, I probably would just chill at home, like I don't want to risk it.
That's my dream nowadays anyway, just to relax at home, not having to do anything. It would be nice. Although if you think about it, the world of, if we did live in that dystopian world, celebrities would be a lot more desperate to appease people than they are. They'd be starting a lot more celebrity fights to get like support and stuff.
That's definitely true.
The press would be absolutely demolished because no one likes the press.
No.
I also thought it was interesting that they kind of like, they don't just, because it's a social media platform, isn't it, as well? So they literally post every aspect of their life, like as you said, like her coffee, her walk, her everything. And like Instagram does kind of have that, but not to such an extreme degree.
No, but it might one day, and I think that's what the those drivers.
And it kind of like delved into how much people give away online.
It does show how careful you have to be online, because there are people out there who will find little things and photos you take and just track you like that, and it's just annoying.
When I was rewatching the episode recently, I was really interested in the music.
Yes.
And how they incorporated that into like the scenarios, and how certain like soundtracks complemented the scenes. Like I can't remember the specific scene, but it was very like sugary sweet in the elevator.
Yes.
And they just completely stripped it of any sound, so you could realize like there's nothing to distract you from the conversation and how insincere it was. I thought that was really powerful.
The work environment did seem a bit stilted and fake.
Yeah.
So that wraps up this week's episode of The Network. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give us a 5-star review if you did. I will see you next week, or you'll hear us next week, with another episode of The Network where we'll be discussing another episode of Black Mirror. Bye!